Gateway Pundit has a great story up today about the New York Times article in April 12th this year.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday where they advertised where they are and that there's not much security. All right, I have a stack of mainstream news articles here where the left is celebrating the shooting of Congressman Steve Scalise, who was the #3 Republican in the House, a good friend of Trump, and a guy that was really pushing hard for America and the restoration of our republic. And the word is, from my sources, and it's also in the news, is that this was coordinated. This was a plan. They used a wind-up toy, basic, leftist Bernie Sanders mental patient, communist, to do this. And I mean, just this weekend in Austin, they had communists with their guns, with their fingers on the triggers, threatening everybody. I mean, they are getting ready to make their move, just like our next guest, Matt Bracken, former Navy SEAL, terrorism expert, and, of course, best-selling author, is going to be breaking down. But shot Congressman Representative Steve Scalise was actively seeking to stop pedophilia. He had come out and said human trafficking is easy as ordering a pizza. That's code word to us, letting us know he knows. It's over 10,000 arrests of pedophiles, several thousand that had kids in cages. Hundreds in L.A., hundreds in San Francisco, just any major city, hundreds. You've got the whole playpen thing with 150,000 pedophiles. That's why there's a civil war inside the FBI, because the FBI has actually been trying to do something about it. This is how they control people. This is a deep state operation. So we now have Scalise, who we learned weeks ago, was coming out saying we're going after the pedophiles. Then this happens. Here's the clip.
One of America's greatest values is our strong belief in the inherent worth of every human life. Human trafficking is a direct assault on this core value, and it affects millions of victims throughout the world. While many of us would like to believe that this issue isn't something that affects us, the sad truth is that human trafficking is a real problem plaguing each and every community here in the United States. Enough is enough. This week, the House took strong actions to stand up for the victims of human trafficking, passing tough bills to provide them protection and to target child predators. Let's work together to get these bills signed into law.
And there were over 400 pedophile arrests in his state just alone last year. Now, again, you've got Huffington Post writers, it's all up on Infowars.com, saying, it's time for organized resistance. You've got other writers, major papers saying, too bad there weren't more of this guy. He's a big super fan of Rachel Maddow. This is where this is all going. And then where's the false flag? That would fit nicely into their narrative to make themselves the victims. But I don't think they care. They have this weird bloodlust, and they want a civil war. HuffPost writer, violent resistance needs to be organized for it to work. Again, too bad, only 5 people were shot. And, Scalise is fighting for his life. This is a terrible situation. So, and I love how it's people that have never probably been in a fist fight. It's like the wimpier the person. I've been around these libs in person. I mean, they look like they've had lobotomies. Seriously, I'm not being mean. They all have like motor function problems and stuff. I don't know what happened. They were like locked in a basement when they were kids, abused. What? They want war. They want the rite of passage, but they don't want to join the military to do it. They don't want to be a firefighter or a cop. They just want war. They want death. They want murder. And now every channel, again, I'm worse, than a killer. I'm like Saddam Hussein. They misrepresent what I've said. They write articles about resistance, past, present, and future. How they're the resistance as the big banks and the multinationals all pile on against an attempt to just not completely gut and bankrupt the country. And so they're everywhere condoning violence, pushing it. This is organized crime. This is racketeering. Matt Bracken, what do you make of the situation where we're currently at? Because you've been accurately predicting this, and they are really gearing up for it. And it's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Well, the left-wing mainstream media is absolutely instigating it. You could almost say stage managing it, with the help from the Democrats in Congress. Gateway Pundit has a great story up today about the New York Times article in April 12th this year.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday where they advertised where they are and that there's not much security.
Right. So for a guy like Hodgkinson, who left Illinois as a killer, he left Illinois to get in striking range of his enemies so that he can be the John Brown of the new resistance, the John Brown of the new Civil War. Obviously, he would have no luck with a white, van parked outside of the White House. But the New York Times handed him the information. This is where to go, where they'll have very minimal security. It said, maybe some Capitol Police sitting in a black SUV at the ballpark. Well, that gives you another, 350 degrees of a big fenced-in area away from the black SUV where you can take your shots from. So clearly I'm sure that if the FBI, they were doing their job, they would have the cookies on his computers and his smartphones would show that he had read this article, probably, saved the article. And that's why he was living at that YMCA out of his van, keeping an eye on that park. So the New York Times should get an assist on this hit. They absolutely should get credit for it.
Sure, I mean, they were the intel office.
And it's so ironic because the paragraph above the paragraph where it says, that they are practicing at this field, it said, well, security officials are very cautious about giving out details because they, say it could compromise security. And in the next paragraph, the New York Times says, wink, wink. But if you really wanted to get a bunch of congressmen without much security, here's where you would do it. And sure enough, that's where Hodgkinson went to shoot these guys.
What do you make of even CNN's Wolf Blitzer going to a person they interview, so it's prepared, and they admit they're going to this clip, and he says he wasn't a monster, he wasn't evil, he was just upset about politics, and then Blitzer just pretty much agrees with him. I mean, don't they understand that if this kicks off, that they are asking for it? I mean, what is Blitzer going to do if somebody walks up, God forbid, and pumps rounds into his head when he's and just says, hey, this is just, sorry, Blitzer, it's just politics, no big deal.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, CNN, we know what they are, but going back to the New York Times for a moment before we get to the Washington Post, the other fingers of this machine, the New York Times today is blaming Sarah Palin for yesterday.
That's right.
They're going back to they weren't even crosshairs, they were surveyors marks. The congressional district thing, the guy down in Arizona, he was a lunatic that had been planning to kill, like a Robert De Niro taxi driver kind of character.
Sure, he took hallucinogens every day, according to his friends. It was in another world.
And he had been planning it for years, way before, he didn't even know who Sarah Palin was.
And he was a devil worshiper. He was a devil worshiper, had a devil worship altar in his backyard. Exactly. And I predicted this yesterday that they would blame the Gabby Giffords thing and say, oh, you Republicans are this. No, the difference is Republicans weren't saying go out and kill Democrats. That's the difference.
And not only that, imagine if Fox News or Breitbart or InfoWars had done an article on Hillary Clinton's security, and in this article about Hillary Clinton's security mentioned, let's say, a tennis club she liked to go to with only a close friend.
Exactly. Oh, here's where Hillary, goes once a week to play bridge, right here at the corner of this. There's not much security. There'll just be one car. So if you just come into the alley, you can get her right there.
Right. So for the New York Times to blame Palin.
By the way, let me stop you because you're a former Navy SEAL and involved in clandestine operations in the Middle East and a lot of other areas. You know this. A lot of folks don't know this. Back in the Cold War, the Russians would have operatives in publications, so would we, and would actually put orders in the paper. Well, this isn't even where, this paragraph, that paragraph, put it together. This is open commands in public that a 5-year-old could tell. This is openly putting the intel out there.
Right. This is on a silver platter. This is saying all of you triggered lunatics, since everybody from Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to the talking heads on ABC, CNN, CBS, New York Times, Washington Post, all of these guys have been saying Obamacare is being repealed to kill people. They want to kill grandma. They want to kill your children. They're basically sending a signal to these lunatics by comparing Trump to Hitler on a daily basis.
Sure, and then showing him being killed in plays and killed on TV and killed everywhere. Kill, 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 kill. But historically, though, I know there's a globalists and elites behind this that want to cause a civil war here. They're using known Soros tactics and others, and it's admitted Soros is involved. They've got this big summer of rage geared up, kill the cops, kill everybody. But don't the little minions of this realize if it actually kicks off historically, it's not going to go well for them? I mean, I think they're really mistaken.
No, they don't get it. Leftists primarily are first-level thinkers. They are like goldfish in a goldfish bowl. They realize that, it gets dark and light at that window over there and food gets dumped in over here. They're first level thinkers. If you want to cure poverty, tax the rich and give money to poor people. That's how you cure poverty. Pure first level thinking. So the Wolf Blitzers of the world, which are not high IQ people, they're just news readers, what they call them in England, news readers. They only are looking at this from the point of view of, my bosses want to get rid of Trump, so they're handing me headlines to read to help get rid of Trump. They're not thinking, if I'm helping to instigate a dirty war where we're doing not just a dog whistle, this is like a cowbell for lunatics.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of these people, they're calling for violence. If this all kicks off, they're going to be up there with that helicopter ride to nowhere.
Right, or it's just going to be, somebody like in my first novel where a couple of attorneys just have their own local, the senator that lives in their neighborhood pre-registered as a target. So there are a lot of people that have done their own, local area target analysis that if the balloon goes up, these are some people that I'm going to take out. And I have no doubt that exists on both sides.
Absolutely, but they're exactly. These people are crazy, and I'd say what about 90% of the veterans are on the Republic side, and I think 90% of the police. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is a disastrous scenario for these idiots.
And not only that, so you've got current police, which means that they have the encoded radio frequencies. They can listen on a law enforcement scanner and break through the encryption because they're like deputy or part-time sheriffs, things like that. They've got former experience in Afghanistan and Iraq, so they know all about how to do coordinate search, how to do social network analysis to find the bomb maker that never touches the bomb. They know how to do this, and when this all kicks off, it's going to be mayhem. And these idiots on the left.
Stay right there. They're going to cry for mommy. Let's go to Debit in Florida. Debit in Florida, you're on the air.
Great. Hey, thank you so much. Listen, I have bought your product, and I gotta say they're amazing. Anyone who's on the fence, buy it, because I've got Caveman, Superman Vitality, Secret 12, Vitamin Mineral Fusion. I've got the body armor.
Wow, thank you. Wow. You're the type of listener that makes it all possible. Which nutraceutical does you like best?
I really like the Vitamin Mineral Fusion, to be honest. That's
amazing.
Really incredible. I drank it in the morning, and I swear to you, I felt incredible. Like I haven't felt in weeks. My morning was fantastic, and I love you guys. I love the InfoWars crew, and I just want to, I want to take this opportunity to tell anybody out there who's on the fence. Just buy it. You will love it. I'm telling you, I've never bought a bad product.
What you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLife.com. It's a win-win, InfoWarsLife.com.